I already know that there's going to be a ton of dislikes on this content. And honestly, if you're a LiAngelo Ball fan, you may be thinking that I'm talking bad about him or I don't want him to succeed. And that is not the case at all whatsoever. I am 100% in this man's corner. I want everyone to succeed in what they're passionate about. But as someone that could actually kind of sympathize with LiAngelo Ball, I want you to at least hear out my take before judging whether you should dislike this video or not. And if you didn't even think of disliking the video, if you want to leave a like to support my content, because I upload videos damn near daily and do this for a full-time living, then that'd be great as well. Now, before we get to the content, I just wanted to let you guys know we're giving away a PlayStation 5 to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel. Whether you're an old subscriber or a new subscriber, if you sub and hit that notification bell, you've officially entered for a chance to win a PlayStation 5. If you want additional entries, make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram, but if you don't even care about the PS5, I recommend following us on Twitter and Instagram because that's how you can get your takes featured in this video, which you're going to see in a little bit. I'm going to do that for y'all. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? LiAngelo Ball has been one of the saddest tales in all of basketball. Coming out of high school, out of all three Ball brothers, LiAngelo was known as the one that had the greatest scoring ability, whereas LaMelo and Lonzo were more seen as brilliant passers and players with a tremendous basketball IQ. Sure, LaMelo Ball is supposed to be the best out of all of them, but it was definitely assumed that LiAngelo would be able to find his way into the NBA one way or the other. But you see, what would have been a very challenging yet doable road to the NBA was not even given necessarily a shot. The number one issue I've always said that LiAngelo Ball had was he was never really given an opportunity to play against good enough competition for a college or for an NBA scout to take his skills seriously. I've cited this in many videos. When he was playing in Lithuania, well, no one in the NBA, no scout was going to go all the way to Lithuania to scout a very young LaMelo Ball and LiAngelo Ball against lesser competition. That's just a waste of time and energy and resources to do so. So when LiAngelo finished his time in Lithuania, he came back and entered the 2018 NBA draft. He was not drafted in the 2018 NBA draft, the year after his brother Lonzo was drafted number 2 overall in the NBA draft. But since the Los Angeles Lakers loved the Ball family so much, and since Lonzo Ball was presumed to be the next coming of Magic Johnson, who was supposed to break all of Magic Johnson's records according to Magic, the Los Angeles Lakers, at the very least, gave LiAngelo Ball a tryout. But obviously, he didn't show the Los Angeles Lakers enough for him to even get invited to their G-League roster, so LiAngelo Ball was not picked up by a single team that year. As a result, his dad created a startup basketball league, and the rationale behind it was brilliant. I actually applaud LeVar for his entrepreneurship here, and the idea is smart. It's just very hard to get something like this going, and it's very hard to expect your son to potentially be able to make it to the NBA as a result of this startup basketball league, because LiAngelo would dominate in the JBA. He would even become JBA MVP. But he was playing against such lesser competition that it was kind of obvious he was going to be the JBA MVP. After that, in December 29th of 2019, LiAngelo would sign with the Oklahoma City Blue of the G-League as a practice player only. And on March 9th, 2020, he signed with the OKC Blue by a waiver claim. The Blue would only play one game with LiAngelo on the roster, but Jello would not play, and the rest of the season would get canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The season would come back, and during which, over this past offseason, LiAngelo Ball would get signed to a training camp contract by the Detroit Pistons. but he would get waived 11 days later without playing in even their preseason game. Don't worry, there was still hope, because not my last video, but my video prior to this, we got some pretty awesome news. The G-League was going to have a bubble, and they were going to hold a G-League draft, and if you look at the way LiAngelo Ball has been treated on all of the ads, literally whenever ESPN posted an article announcing the news that there's going to be a G-League draft, it would show images of LiAngelo Ball. And when I was making my video on LiAngelo Ball just a couple of days ago, I said there's no way, shape, or form that LiAngelo Ball doesn't get selected in the G-League draft. Because if you are a G-League team, you want people to watch your team. And if you want a guaranteed way to not only pull in some additional revenue, but also get some extra eyeballs on your product, then you will find a way for a G-League team to draft LiAngelo Ball and potentially give him playing time. As a result of this, I was extremely excited for LiAngelo. I felt like there was finally going to be an opportunity for Jello to get some playing time against some legitimate competition, and he would finally get a chance to prove himself. But when the G-League draft came and went, LiAngelo Ball was undrafted. Now, the only way I could rationalize this at all is each and every G-League team that was invited to the G-League bubble. Bear in mind that not all 29 teams are going to be in the G-League bubble, looked at LiAngelo and said that, hey, drafting this player isn't in our best interests. Now, according to my favorite Ball family insider, DKM, he tweeted that a verified G-League source told him that in a normal G-League season with 29 teams, he probably would have been signed, but with there being limited spaces available and whatnot, he's not yet proven he's good enough, and there's a lot of other great players who never got picked too. Let me tell you how I sympathize with LiAngelo, because I come from a culture that really glorifies the medical profession. For years and years and years, my entire family, this is kind of personal, but my entire family wanted me to be a doctor. I would get like C's in school while also doing YouTube on the side. And I would even go to dental school and I would struggle in dental school. It would take me like 5 hours to study what would take people like an hour to study, until I eventually backed out and pursued YouTube full time. And it turns out that thankfully, after a decade of struggling with YouTube, because I tried doing YouTube videos prior to going to dental school, I wasn't nearly as successful. You could go and dig into my videos. I made thousands of horrible videos before you guys gave me the opportunity to serve you like I do today. But I can't help but think that LiAngelo Ball is in a very similar situation. LeVar is obsessed with this idea of LiAngelo becoming a basketball player. And when I look at LiAngelo, with all due respect to LiAngelo Ball, I don't think he really wants to be a basketball player. And that's not to say like he can't be, but I feel like his passion lies somewhere else. Because if he really wanted to be a basketball player, I feel like he'd be a little bit more outspoken about the situation. You'd see videos of LiAngelo Ball training his butt off on Instagram. You'd hear him come out and say stuff like, I am not giving up, this is my passion, this is my dream, no matter what, I want to play basketball for a living. But I can't help but feel like LiAngelo would much rather do something in the realm of fashion or in the realm of lifestyle. And look, I don't mean this as an insult to LiAngelo Ball, I just see a lot of the same mannerisms in the way he carries himself and the way he approaches basketball as I did too when I was a student. So maybe I could be wrong. Maybe it's his all-time passion to be a basketball player. But I can't help but feel like LiAngelo Ball is trying to live his dad's dream as opposed to his own dream. And I may be wrong. For all you know, I could be wrong. But when you're still at the age of 22, you have so much time to invest elsewhere. And when you've tried multiple ways of making it into the NBA and you still haven't had the opportunity to make it into the NBA, yeah, sure, your dad mismanaged your career a little bit and that puts you in the situation that you're in today, you have to at least begin to invest yourself in the things that you truly are passionate about, should you be passionate about other things. Personally, I think LiAngelo would kill it as a vlogger. I think he's probably the most fashionable out of all three Ball brothers, and I think he's probably the best personality out of all the Ball brothers, but that's just my interpretation of Jello. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think? Do you think LiAngelo Ball's basketball career might be over? Do you think he should pursue other things?